Hi everyone, Aaron here. I'm so excited today to introduce the brand new Dominion Electric Axess guitar battery replacement box. Today, I'm going to give you a quick video run through on what this pedal is, how to set it up, and what some of its intended uses are, and some of the benefits of using this particular pedal with your rig. So, the battery replacement box was developed to replace your standard 9-volt carbon battery that is often preferred with fuzzes and other analog devices such as octaves, wah-wahs, and drive pedals. A lot of us know that using a 9-volt carbon battery changes the feel and the response of these types of pedals, which is why players often prefer to use them. But the battery itself typically comes with a whole host of negatives. One, you have to worry about replacing the battery on a regular basis, so having backups becomes a necessity. Two, a lot of pedals, the faceless fuzz included, needs to be unplugged from the input jack when you're not using the pedal to preserve the battery life. And three, wasting batteries does in fact have an environmental impact, and so we want to try to eliminate that as best as possible. The intent when developing the battery replacement box was to develop a device that had all the same feel and response of the preferred carbon battery while helping eliminate some of the negatives. We don't want to have to worry about replacing batteries, unhooking our pedal board, unhooking our pedals that are connected to power supplies. It's all a hassle. When I thought of this device, I really wanted something that could be stuck under my pedal board, could get plugged into my favorite fuzz, that would deliver the same feel and response of a carbon battery time and time again, and give me the same response and feel that I expected from my pedal. The thing with the battery too is that the voltage over time changes. The battery drains, which changes the feel of the pedal, which some days might be great, but other days might be a bit frustrating because it doesn't sound the same as it did yesterday. This box lets you set it to your favorite spot and then just forget it, and you'll have it time and time again every time you plug in your pedal board. So, let's go through how to set this device up. The battery replacement box comes in the box with a standard 2.1 millimeter DC cable. Now, most power supplies will come with a host of 2.1 millimeter cables. So what we want to do is take one of those cables and we want to plug it into a 9-volt tap on the power supply. It's important that your tap is delivering at least 200 milliamps of current. You'll see that typically marked underneath the tap itself. Most modern day power supplies supply at least 200 milliamps, if not 500, so you don't have anything to worry about there. Once you're connected to your power supply, you're going to take the other end of your power cable and you're going to plug it into the 9-volt DC in on the battery replacement box. When you plug it in, the power indicator will light up letting you know that the device is in fact being powered by your power supply. So what it's doing at this point is it's taking the 9-volt from the supply, it's isolating it, and it's creating its own new supply that will then go to your pedal. This is super beneficial when it comes to modern day power supplies, switch mode supplies that often can introduce a high pitch whine, especially with sensitive drives like fuzzes. The battery replacement box filters and cleans that power and delivers its own isolated, clean power source to your pedal, which is typically much less noisy than using a conventional power supply. Once you've got it hooked up to your power, the next step is to take your included cable or any standard 2.1 millimeter DC power cable like you might find with these power supplies. and plug it into the isolated 9-volt DC out. When you plug it in, you'll notice that the sag indicator comes on, letting you know that this power supply now that's going to go to your pedal has the sag function activated on the side. Now, the battery replacement box is delivering a 9-volt center pin negative power supply. This is commonly referred to as your standard Boss style power. What you're going to do next is you're going to take the isolated 9-volt DC out, center pin negative, standard Boss style, and plug it into a pedal that accepts that same 9-volt center pin negative Boss style power. Just like that. Now, in some cases, you might have a pedal that requires reverse polarity. It might be center pin positive. The pedal itself should identify that, and if that's the case, you will need a cable here going from the battery replacement box to the faceless fuzz, or to the fuzz pedal, or whatever pedal you're connecting it to, that reverses the polarity coming out of the battery replacement box. If you're unsure of this, by all means, send me an email, send me a message, and I'll be happy to confirm whether or not you need to reverse the polarity. But in most cases, you should be fine, especially if the pedal works as standard with a normal power supply. What's happening now is you'll notice that the fuzz, in this case, that's connected to the battery replacement box, is receiving power from it. The battery replacement box is now actively acting like the 9-volt carbon battery that we're accustomed to. So it's taking the 9-volt power supply tap, simulating the battery, and delivering that power to your pedal like the pedal was only connected to a battery. We worked extremely hard to make sure that the battery replacement box has all the response and feel of this traditional carbon battery. There are a lot of other devices out on the market that sag the voltage up and down. They vary the voltage. And some of them even impact the internal resistance of the unit, but no other unit functions the same way the battery replacement box does. We manipulate 3 unique elements that do the best job on the market of accurately simulating the tonal feel and response of this battery. So you could go ahead and you could run your pedal now off this supply. Now, one of the benefits of the battery replacement box is you effectively get to tweak your own sound. So on the side of the unit, there are 2 controls. There's one for sag and there's one for stiffness. Now, the sag control allows you to deliver anywhere from 9.6 volts DC all the way down to approximately 4.5 volts DC. So that gives you an effective range that you'll typically see in this type of battery. Old carbon batteries, when brand new, if you measured them with a meter, will typically measure anywhere from 9.5, 6 volts, higher than a normal 9-volt supply. And as they drain, will obviously drain all the way down to 0. We've put that voltage range on a pot on the side. Now, as you adjust the pot to find the voltage level that you like the most with your fuzz, you're also changing the internal resistance and the feel of the virtual simulated battery to your pedal. You will find that there is a definite sweet spot where most of you like the tone of your battery with your pedal. So by all means, try and find the spot that works best for you. You'll notice that as you sag down the control on the side towards the 4.5 volts, you will notice that the LED on the pedal, the sag LED, I don't know if it will come across very well on camera, but the sag LED will start to fade ever so slightly, demonstrating that it's getting less power than when it's full. You'll also notice that the LED on the pedal will fade ever so slightly as the sag control is turned to reflect the amount of voltage that's going to the pedal itself. Now, on top of the sag control, there's also a control marked stiffness that's on a push button, and you have the option to have more or less. More stiffness, think of it like getting power from your traditional 9-volt power supply. It's very immediate. It responds very quickly to your attack. The stiffness is independent of the sag control, so irrespective of where you have the voltage set, you will get a different feel from the stiffness. Like I said, more stiffness is much more immediate in its response. Less stiffness is a little bit more spongy. It's milliseconds, but it's really a feel thing. It's very similar to having a compressor on in the way that your touch sensitivity underneath your fingers will change and feel different based on whether you have it on more or less stiffness in combination with where you set the sag control. You'll find the spot that responds best for you and your particular pedal. So the advantage of that is you can very much fine tune or tweak your simulated battery to your particular pedal, helping you really dial in that last couple percent. The last thing that I'm going to discuss is the switch. So the switch is completely optional. There's going to be plenty of people that want to hook up their battery replacement box, set it the way that they like it for their particular pedal, stick it under their pedal board, and never worry about it again. Every time they power on their power supply, their pedal that's connected to the battery replacement box will be getting that exact same sag, stiffness, feel and response time and time again, unlike a battery that will drain and change over time. However, when we were developing this product, as we went through one of the many iterations that we went through, we decided at one point that some people might like to have the sag function on a remote switch. This will let you go from sag that you set on the side to the full 9.6 volts that the device is capable of. So in the case of a user that wants to use the foot switch, you can use one of ours that I sell on my website, dominionelectric.co, or you can use another standard 1/4 inch latching foot switch. A lot of different ones will work, but not all of them will have the same LED functionality that we've integrated into ours. The foot switch itself is completely passive. All you need is a standard mono 1/4 inch jack. I've just got this little one for demonstration purposes, but any guitar cable should work. And what you're going to do is you're going to plug one end of it into the battery replacement box. And once it's plugged in, you'll see that the sag function turns off. That's because we're going to change that over to the remote switch. So you're going to take the other end and you're just going to plug it mono 1/4 inch into the foot switch. Now, when it's plugged in, what you'll see is this foot switch doesn't require any separate power or anything like that. It's getting its own power from the battery replacement box. So what it does is when you switch it on, the foot switch will light up, as will the sag feature. So what we're doing here is we're going from off the full 9.6 volts that the battery replacement box is capable of, to wherever you have the sag control set when the foot switch is on. So to demonstrate that in its most extreme sense, I'm going to turn the sag all the way down to the minimum 4.5 volts. Remember, I said that the LED will dim. So I'll turn on the faceless fuzz and you'll see that my LED is bright. It's getting the full voltage. Now when I switch on the sag feature, you'll see that the sag light comes on and the LED on the faceless fuzz dims. It is now getting 4.5 volts and not the 9.6. So that's dramatically going to change the feel and response of this pedal. We figured some people might like the ability to switch the sag control on and off, and that might give them two different feels from their same pedal. We tried to make the switch nice and small so that if you have the battery replacement box underneath your pedal board and you don't have access to seeing it or anything like that, you can just run a cable to this small switch up in a tiny corner of your pedal board and still get the LED status to let you know that the sag feature is active or not. So that's a really basic rundown of how to use the battery replacement box and some of its benefits. I am extremely confident that when you guys get this in your hands and start using it with some of your favorite fuzzes and overdrives, you are never going to be able to be without it. It is as good, if not better, than using the traditional 9-volt carbon battery. All the benefits, if not more, in the sense that it's user tweakable, without any of the downsides. No more changing batteries, no more unplugging your pedal when you're not using it, no more damage to the environment, no more change in voltage over time. Just consistent tone the way you like it. I am so incredibly proud of this product, and I'm so excited for those of you to get this in your hands.